Good morning, students. Today we are going to start 18 FT 504 and in that quality assurance in garment production. This is the course and we are at unit 3 and so far we have covered 2 lessons and we have seen different kinds of defects in the fabric, how it has been classified, or also in the first lesson we have seen that how the specification sheet plays an important role in communication. So illustration rather than words, that was the key of that particular lesson. Now today in the lesson 3 we will talk about inspection procedure for raw materials and accessories. Let us see, students, what do we mean by the raw materials for the garments? Now, as you know already that raw material, when you are talking for the garment, the first name which comes into our mind is the fabric, because the fabric is that particular substrate from which the garment is prepared. Now, what are the other materials available for raw material? They are the sewing thread, because without this particular thread you cannot produce the garment. Okay, lot of seams you have to create, lot of joints or panels are there, so sewing thread is very much required for that. Okay, so when you are talking about the raw material, along with the fabric, the sewing thread also comes into the picture. Different varieties of sewing threads are there and those qualities differ again. Some thread is made of cotton, some from polyester, some for coarse spun yarn. So a lot of such materials are available in the market. And when you are talking about the accessories, lot of such accessories are there, like buttons are there, zippers are there, different velcro tapes are there, studs are there, so many are there into this. So raw materials for garments, when we are talking, we will talk about little bit on buttons also, and also we will talk about different trims. As you know, students, that these particular trims are normally used for either for functional purpose or for decoration purpose. So those materials are also key to producing a good quality garment. That's why their quality must be ensured by inspection. So you can see in the figure that lot of such trims and buttons are available which can be attached to the garment, and if it is attached to the garment, they will be subjected to different kinds of inspection procedure. Let us see, students, what do you mean by the raw material inspection and quality of the final garment when you are talking. This quality will definitely depend upon the quality of the fabric. As we have already discussed that how to do the inspection of fabric in our earlier lessons. In that we have seen that there are systems are there available for this inspection, like 10-point system, 4-point system, Dallas system, Grantiville system. So a lot of systems are available, but out of all, the 4-point system is in place in the industry because of its lot of advantages. And such kind of raw material inspection is normally carried out in some inspection machine under a specified light. And there are certain procedures by which the defects are counted and marked, and penalty points are assigned to it. And based on that total penalty points, we decide whether the roll is acceptable or not acceptable. In that way, lot of defects, as we have seen in the earlier lessons, so those defects are classified defects and we take into account such kind of defects while the inspection is on for the fabric. We have to be very careful, students, because here the quality of the final garment will depend mostly on the quality of the fabric. That's why you have to be very careful into this. Now students, can you identify what is this? While raw material inspection we are talking, we have actually lot of importance of identifying the material, okay, which type of material we will use. Now if there is a defective material, okay, if in the garment some defects are there, okay, so whatever may be the manufacturing method you use, you cannot produce a good garment. So that's why the material here plays an important role to it. So material should be perfect material what we will use for the production of the garment. Whatever may be the machine or whatever may be the method what we will use in this particular area. That is why the raw material inspection always plays an important role to it. So you can see in the figure that how lot of defects are there, and those defects, if it is there, the useful life of the garment will be reduced tremendously. So such kind of defective materials we should not use, as has been shown in the figure. There is defect in the jeans pant, there is defect in the regarding this normal pants, there are defects in the sewing thread, there are defects in the accessories, so all sorts of defects are there, but we cannot compensate such kind of defective materials, whatever may be our manufacturing method. So that is key to the inspection of the raw material. So let us see, students, where we have to concentrate upon now. So when you are talking about the raw material inspection, so this kind of inspection when is to be carried out? That is the question. Okay, is it to be carried out after the garment is produced, or during the production of the garment, or before production of the garment? Okay, so definitely the raw material, if you inspect after the production, there is no meaning to it. Why? Because the raw material has already been used there. You cannot take out the material from this garment. Okay, so whatever you want to do, you have to do it before production only. And there are some group of peoples are available in the factory who are doing the inspection. Okay, inspection under a certain procedure, certain SOPs are there which are described in the quality manual. So based on that SOP, the quality controllers, they inspect the goods and they inspect certain parameters of that particular product, and then if all the criteria are satisfied, then they certify the goods based on the raw material what they are inspecting and based on different parameters which are earmarked for that evaluation of this raw material. So everything whatever we will do the inspection, students mind it that it must be there before production, neither during production or neither after production. And the raw material what should be used in the garment, that must be approved by the quality control department. So that is the mechanism, or that is the procedure by which a particular factory works in the apparel sector. Let us see, students, that when you are talking about different raw material, so since fabric we have already covered in our earlier lessons, we will not cover into this particular lesson. So we will straightaway start with the sewing thread. So sewing thread inspection is important there, and when you are talking about the sewing thread inspection, The first part comes to our mind is the construction, okay, construction of the sewing thread. So what are the different fibers are associated with it? What is the cross section of that fiber? So different aspects of the constructional parameters of that sewing thread is getting judged here. So that is the first part of sewing thread inspection. Let us see, students, what are the other parameters are available there. Or only this construction is enough for using the sewing thread? Definitely not. Why? Because you can see that the fineness of the yarn, what is used in the thread, that plays an important role to it. What is the thickness of the yarn or the fineness of the yarn? And it is expressed in yarn count. Different counts of threads are there. So we have to use the particular thread depending upon the requirement. Which type of thread you will use, whether it is a finer thread, coarser thread. So that's why the yarn count plays an important role to it. It is very important because when you are stitching different assemblies or different panels in the sewing machine, the quality of the yarn plays an important role, and sewing thread, which is really responsible for it, and sewing thread will depend upon the yarn count for that factor. So different yarn counts, different fineness and different thicknesses are there in this industry. We have to use accordingly. Yarn ply, yes, it is also important because how much durability is there in that sewing thread, the strength of the sewing thread. Okay, there may be a single ply thread, there may be a 2 ply, there may be multiple ply. Okay, depending upon the requirement, which type of sewing thread you want to use in your garment, or what type of garment this type of sewing will be done. So different yarn plies are there, so that also must be inspected when you are inspecting the sewing thread. Let us see, students, what are the other parameters. Like one of the parameters are number of twists per unit. What do you mean by this, students? Yes, this twist per unit is very important because it will control the thread strength. Okay, how much twist is there, that is normally expressed in twist per inch, okay, TPI, or it is expressed in twist per meter. So depending upon that, the strength of the material will vary. Okay, so that's why number of twists per unit length plays an important role in the sewing thread. I hope, students, you have understood the importance of it. And this type of sewing threads are there, so it is measured, and it can be measured in some instrument also. Some twist tester is there. So untwisting method is one of the method by which twist untwist method you can really identify that how much twist is there in that particular thread. So that twist tester plays also in an important role, and how much is that twist, that can be measured through some scales also, which is shown in the figure. There is also another important parameter in the sewing thread, and the yarn what is used there. Apart from this fineness, there is also an important parameter called twist balance. Okay, whether you can use any ply to it, how many plies you will use to it, or how much twist you will incorporate in it. That is very important to understand here. Okay, it is not that you will go on increasing the ply or go on increasing the twist, the durability or the strength of the material will increase. It is not, because obliquity effect is there in this particular yarn. After a certain parameter or a certain twisting, that is a twist per inch what we are talking. After certain twists there is some decrease in strength, that is called the obliquity effect of the particular thread. So that must be balanced, that's why how much should be the twist, how much should be the ply in a particular thread, that must be balanced together. So that is called the twist balance, that is the optimization also, optimization of the twist we sometimes call it as. And this type of twist, when we are there, proper fixation of the twist also is very important. Normally in the industry such kind of twist fixation, normally it is carried out by some sort of steaming method, okay. Otherwise some untwisting or snarling tendency may occur if the twist is not stabilized or balanced. So that is one of the important parameters to judge also. Apart from that, when you are talking about the sewing thread, there are parameters like yarn strength or yarn elongation. Now what do you mean by yarn strength and yarn elongation, students? Can you tell? Now it is very simple to understand that yarn strength means how much the particular breaking strength of the yarn. That means you are pulling the yarn keeping one end constant and other end you are pulling, and after a certain period of pulling the strength will be such in that particular yarn that in that threshold limit when it will be reaching, there will be breaking of the yarn, okay. So that's why called as breaking strength. And at that particular time how much the yarn is getting elongated, that is known as yarn elongation. So both of these parameters are very important when we are doing the inspection of the raw material or inspection of the sewing thread. Yarn strength and yarn elongation is very important. That's why in understanding the quality of the sewing thread used in the garment. So students, this is an interesting part to classify the sewing thread in this fashion. Another important parameter which must be judged in this kind of inspection of raw material is the performance. Performance of what, students? The sewability. What it will judge? Sewability will judge the performance of the sewing thread, okay. So normally during the time of inspection, 3 sewing thread packages are drawn from a lot. Not all the lots can be inspected because it is a time consuming and labor consuming affair. So 3 sewing thread packages are drawn from a lot, okay. And there are various kinds of packages are available, lot of packages are available, but all packages cannot be tested depending upon the lot size. That's why 3 sewing thread packages are drawn from that total population. Now what else after this? What do you mean by this, students, this particular figure? There are also a lot of sewing threads are there of different colors. What do you mean by this? Now sewability, when you are talking, we also talked about that how much length of the thread is there, okay. So this is used for at least 100 yards of sewing. So the thread package should be made in such a way that at least 100 yards should be there. Now students, you may ask, why 100 yards? Why not 1000 yards? Why not 10 yards? Why 100 yards? If you have more, it is good for us because more time it will be there, more time you can do the sewing operation, okay. And if it's less, yes, it can be less also because lot of style changes and all these things are there. So sewing thread package will be finished into that and next style we can go quickly. But why it is 100 yards of sewing? Let us see, students, what for it is used. At least 100 yards of sewing. Now, when you are talking about this particular parameter, okay, we have to record the running performance, okay, running performance of the sewing machine. And while doing so, when you are measuring the sewability, we have to produce the consistent stitching. Stitches should be consistent enough. So uniformity in the stitching is very, very important in sewability. Finish also is important, okay. What type of lubrication you are using, okay. So basically one type of lubricant is used in a particular lot, and performance of the sewing thread will increase because of that. What for this sewing lubricant is used, and what is the concentration of it? The concentration of this particular sewing thread is 3 to 5% of the weight of the thread. It is normal. And what is the advantage of using the lubricant? Because lot of heat is getting generated there, okay. So in that, if the lubricant is used, smooth operation will be there, heat dissipation will be there, the sewing thread will slip easily while it is stitching. So these are some of the advantages that people really exploit this by using some good lubricant, so that performance of the sewing thread in terms of weavability is increasing, okay. So the finished product, that's why you may get lot of such lubrications, and normally 3 to 5% of the weight of the thread is given to it, the lubrication. And after lubrication also, there are a lot of other advantages, that particular sewing thread become little bit of lustrous than the original one, okay. Apart from it is giving the lubrication effect while this stitching is going on in the machine. Number of the thread breaks definitely will reduce, because the friction we are talking, the friction part plays an important role to it. So friction is getting reduced here. So smooth operation can be expected from such kind of finish. Now color of the thread also is very, very important. Matching the original or the standard is a great challenge for the industry. The sewing thread color that must match with the specified standard or the original. Now in all practical situations, the production when happens, such kind of matching may not be 100%, okay. It may vary little bit, but that variation of the color may not be too much. It must be within the tolerable limit. Then only the variations in the sewing or the variation in the aesthetics of the garment will not be affected. So that is the reason while choosing the color, okay, or matching the color to the standard of the sewing thread during the dyeing operations, we have to take utmost care that matching is done perfectly with the sewing thread and the standard or the fabric for which it will be used. So color plays an important role while we are inspecting the sewing thread, and inspector must maintain a standard for that. What standard they will really pass or what standard they will reject in terms of color, because this is after all a subjective assessment. Now when you are talking about the color, the most important part of it is that fixation of the color to the sewing thread. Now students, you may ask why fixation is important. Okay, fixation is important because we have to wash the garment, and this sewing thread during the time of washing should not bleed. So the fastness of the dyes which are used for dyeing the sewing thread must be very high, otherwise color will come out from there and it will really affect the appearance of the garment. So the quality of the sewing thread inspection, students, you may understand how it is important, okay, and how the color plays an important role to it. Fastness of dyes, what we are using for dyeing these sewing threads. It should not fade also in sunlight. What do you mean by that? You see, the garments are used and people are going outside. So in that condition, accelerated condition of sunlight, the particular portion where sewing operation is done, a sewing thread has been used. So those kind of portions should not fade. So that's why fading in sunlight very important. It should not fade. You can see the scenario here that some of the orange background is there and some sewing thread has been used in the embroidery in the bluish color. So imagine if there is a fading during washing or during the light. So in that situation, the total appearance of that particular fabric will be deteriorated. So that's why you have to be very careful, and the inspector take utmost care while doing the inspection of the color of the sewing thread, or investigate that how it has been dyed and what is the fastness property of the sewing thread. So students, you might be now noticing that yes, lot of parameters are there. It is not very simple to really inspect the raw material when you are talking about the sewing thread. Now package density. This also plays an important role in the operation. How? What do we mean by this? Now, as a matter of fact, when inspection is done for this sewing thread, package density plays an important role. It must be consistent package to package. There should not be too much variations inside the package, or package to package. Variation should not be there in that particular shipment or particular lot of sewing thread. So that consistency is very important, because when we are talking about the package density, that package density normally talks about how much yarn is there in that package, how much sewing thread is there wound on this particular package. As students, you may remember at the start when you are talking about 100 yards kind of thing, why not 10 yards and why not 1000 yards? Now this is the answer that we will give it here in the package density. Now package density plays an important role, because the tension adjustment otherwise will be required if there is a variation in the package density of the sewing thread. And if you have to adjust the tension of the sewing thread in the sewing machine frequently, what will happen? Yes, students, there is lowering of productivity. So productivity will be suffered due to that, because you are adjusting the tension again and again, because the package density variation is there. Different packages having different yards. So that consistency is very much required. That's why that 100 yards normally people are telling it is the good amount which can really works well in this particular package. So package density really is important in order to maintain the uniform tension of the sewing thread and to control the productivity at a threshold limit or optimum level So adjustment of the tension, as I already told, that this is not desirable because it will lower the productivity. Okay. So the performance of the sewing thread will be judged, but how to really get the optimum production, and in order to do so, there must be a package density should be fixed. Yes, this should be the package density, wherein around 100 yards of sewing thread will be there. So this will maintain the tension, this will maintain the productivity in the sewing operation. So students, we can really infer here that the package density is very important factor in the raw material inspection. So we have to be very careful that while determining the package density of a particular sewing thread. So I hope students you have understood the significance of inspection in terms of the sewing thread. Now let us see another important parameter of such sewing operations also is the winding. How winding takes place. Now sewing thread, when you are talking that there should be some sort of consistency of that yards what is available. Okay. So there sewing thread on the package, that's why must be uniform. It should not be, variation should not be there. And what is the advantage of it? Yes, we can get good efficiency into that. Efficiency is getting affected. So winding performance also depends upon the package density or the how much yardage is there in the package. Okay. So if there is a variation, so there will be excessive thread breakage that may occur. And if excessive thread breakage is there in the sewing operation, then of course the particular sewing efficiency will be reduced, as has been shown in the figure. So that is the reason we have to control that, the uniformity in the package. Okay. So tension in the yarn, and in turn all this will improve the productivity of the sewing operation. I hope students you have understood now what is the importance of the sewing thread, and to improve the efficiency how much important is the density of the package. So this is all about the winding operations, wherein the sewing thread efficiency will depend upon how the particular yarn is wound on it. Okay. So there should not be excessive thread breakage because of the variation in the package density, and uniformity should be also there while the sewing operation is on, and this is only possible if the required length of or uniform length of sewing thread is there in the particular package. So this is the way actually the sewing operation is on and thread breakages occur. Let us see students that yardage when you are talking. So is it possible to keep the particular yardage in a sewing package, sewing thread package? Is it possible, students? No, because from production point of view, always we have to depend upon various factors. Okay, factors of humans, factors of machines, okay, factors of the raw materials, etc. So certain amount of tolerances are also there, and that tolerance is normally given in the industry around 2% in terms of length. So how much length we can expect in the particular package? So that is the tolerance limit of the sewing thread in the package. It is very important to understand, students, because These tolerances, if we are not given, okay, then it is difficult to produce such kind of sewing thread bobbins. It may vary, but variation should be there within this 2% tolerance range. That is the real way, the practical way we can say to control the yardage on the package. So that variation is the acceptable variations within the tolerance limit. Now students, we have talked about different aspects of the sewing thread so far, and we have seen that what are the parameters really responsible for it as an accessory. Let us see another very important accessory which is used in the garment. Can you recognize, students, what is this? Yes, this is the zipper. Is it essential for the garment? Yes, it is essential for the garment, because otherwise the performance of the garment will be lost if we do not use any accessories like zipper. So the functions of the garment can be facilitated if a zipper is attached to it. So that's why to understand the different aspects of zipper is very important, number one, and number two, if an inspector going to inspect that particular zipper, what are the points he or she has to understand first, and then he or she can implement it or inspect it with those parameters. So that's why anatomy of the zipper is very, very important. What are the types of zippers, what are the different parts are there in the zippers. So that talks about the anatomy of the zipper. Let us see, students, what do we mean by this zipper, what are the different points we have to inspect in the zipper, what are the quality of the zipper is expected. As we see that there are two types of zippers have been shown here in the figure. One is called the closed bottom and another is called the separating type. These are the two major type of zippers available in industrial applications. And what is the top stop, what are the different slider body, okay. So those things have been shown here. And what do you mean by the tape, what is the bottom stop, what is the element in all this aspect of the teeth, on the chain, whatever you call it as. So those things are important to understand when you are talking about the anatomy of a zipper. Now students, what is this in the figure? What is happening in this, in the zipper? Can you recognize this? This is nothing but that we are trying to evaluate here, that what is the crosswise strength of the zipper assembly, okay. So chain crosswise strength is very, very important here. How much strength actually it can withstand the zipper, because zipper, when it is fixed to the garment, lot of forces are applied in different directions. So whether with those kind of forces the zipper can withstand, zipper will not come out with those kind of forces. Those happens during normal wearing of the apparel. So those kind of forces are simulated here in the particular testing operations. So one such testing is called chain crosswise strength per 2.5 centimeter, and it is judged through not by mere pulling. Then question comes, students, how we will judge this strength? You see, these kind of things are judged only by some tensile strength instrument or Instron in specific. They are having such kind of facilities to do the testing of chain crosswise strength. This is important when any inspector inspects a zipper. The inspector must understand the meaning of chain crosswise strength of the zipper. This must be inspected, whether this chain crosswise strength, what has been given by the buyer in the accessories testing kind of thing. So those kind of parameter it must meet. If it is below that parameter, the inspector should not accept the quality of that particular zipper. So this is shown here, chain crosswise strength. Now next point which is important for an inspector to inspect while doing the checking of the zipper is the top stop holding strength. So how much force actually it is attached to the zipper assembly. So that is their name is called top stop holding strength. Again there is a pulling force. This can also be measured through some tensile strength equipment to understand the real strength of the top stop holding in the zipper assembly. So the inspector's job is to see that yes, this is the specification of the zipper of a particular variety, and in this particular variety what should be the ideal top stop holding strength and what is actually available strength of the particular inspection, what is going on. If it passes, the inspector will definitely pass or certify that particular assembly of zipper. If it falls below, then the quality is not acceptable, so it will not pass into this inspection. So zippers, when you are talking different areas of the zipper, that's why plays an important role to it. Top stop holding strength is one of them. Next come the bottom stop holding strength. You see the zipper top stop and bottom stop, both things are there. We have seen top stop, similar situation happens for the bottom stop. But here you can see the force is different. How to apply the force here is very, very important. So inspector must know about all these areas of the zippers and the forces are to be applied in the zippers while inspecting any kind of zipper assembly. So bottom stop holding strength is equally important as top stop holding strength, which is again done on its tensile strength kind of instrument or similar type of instrument. Basically it is a strength measurement. Now students, let us see now what are the other parameters above this bottom stop and top stop holding strength is important. That is the separating unit crosswise strength. So there also similar kind of strength is getting judged here in the zipper assembly, and this is called separating unit crosswise strength. That's not all students. There are other parts of zipper assembly are also there. Slider lock strength. The slider, as you all know, that it moves on the chain. Okay, it does the operation on that chain assembly. So slider lock strength is very, very important. If lock strength is not correct, then zipper actually cannot be locked. That slider, if it is not locked, it will be loosened on the chain. So that's why slider lock strength is also important for an inspector to inspect or certify any zipper assembly. Now slider tap pull off strength, that is also important at 90 degree. So these are the important arrangements or the areas of the zippers which must be inspected. Otherwise, inspector cannot certify the raw material accessories like a zipper. So the zipper inspection on the physical side of it, yes, the dimensions are also important. So what is the dimension of various parts? What is the length of the zipper? What should be the width of the zipper? Okay, all these dimensions are important in the zipper. Then also important in the zipper inspection is the tape width. The tape what is used, fabric tape. So what is the width of it? Extensions, how much extensions are there in that tape? Also zippers, what is the overall usable length of the zipper? These are the physical verification of the zipper which must be made during the time of inspection. Okay. Now stopper should be fastened securely. Very important in the zipper. So inspector must judge the zipper assembly and must inspect it for that the stopper which is used there, it is fastened securely in the zipper. Now what do you mean by the students about this figure? Some of the coloring is there in the zipper, both the fabric what is used as a tape, zipper tape, and also the assembly, all are in some sort of colored or dyed. Yes, this is the color which we have to really judge. So inspector must see, that's why the uniformity in color. When the dyeing has been done of the zipper assembly, like a fabric dyeing, okay. So zipper assembly can also be dyed. Different colored zippers are also available because of that reason. So uniformity of the zippers are very important, uniformity in the color of the zippers. Very important here that we normally talk about that wrinkling or puckering in the fabric. Have you heard the name of wrinkling or puckering of the zippers? Have you heard this terminology in the zipper, students? You know that in export market also, these kind of terminologies plays an important role in case of zippers. As is shown in the figure, you can really understand that some sort of wavy effect is there, or the puckering effect is there, or you can call it as a wrinkling effect of the particular zipper assembly in the particular garment. Now students, whether it is acceptable? It is not, because these actually deteriorate the appearance of the garment if such kind of puckering or wavy effect of the zipper is there. This can happen both in the raw garment itself, that is while garmenting is going on and the assembly is fixed to it, or it may happen during the washing or the laundering or the dry cleaning. So wrinkling and puckering, okay, should not be there while zipper assembly is on the garment. Now let us see, students, what do you mean by this? This is a very important point in the raw material inspection. The puller or pull tab, what is used in the zipper, okay, it must be firmly fixed. Many of the times, students, if you can see in the different garments what you are using also, there is a breakage or there is a kind of slippage of that puller or the pull tab. It comes out, okay. So we must judge it, okay. It must be inspected properly. Very important point of the zipper also that inspector must inspect is that zipper riding, okay. It is not loose in the assembly, okay. If it is loose on the assembly, what will happen, students? So zipper will not fastening the particular part of the garment, and for what purpose it has been used, that will not be fulfilled. So zipper, that's why ride should be free. That should be well matched in the garment design, zippers. Students, you can see this figure. The zipper what you are using here, this should match with the design of the garment. So it must be well matched with the garment design. Important character of the zipper also is that restricted substances, it must not contain any restricted substances like azo, banned azo. So azo free it must be, zipper must be azo free. Azo free zippers are also available, that's why. Now azo, how it will come? Because coloring, okay, colored zippers. So there this terminology is used. So banned aromatic amines, that should not be there in that particular color. That's why zipper must be azo free. That is one of the important parameter of identifying a good zipper. Students, what do you mean by this figure? Zipper must be nickel free. As you all know, nickel also is coming under the heavy metal. So that plating of the zippers or the coloring of the zippers assembly, that metal part of it, nickel should not be used there. It must be nickel free. So that is one of the important criteria to identify a good zipper. Zipper can be non-magnetic, okay. This uniform characteristics should be there. Though nowadays a lot of magnetic zippers are also available, but ideally non-magnetic zippers are preferable. And zipper must be such that painting, if it is done, painting should be non-toxic. Students, what do you mean by non-toxic? That means no harmful chemicals should be there in that painting. No restricted substances should be there in the painting, which can cause damage either to the environment in terms of laundering, or it can damage to the health or safety of the particular persons who are wearing it. So non-toxic painting, that's why, is also very important for a zipper. If there is a painting on the zipper assembly, that is one of the important feature of a good zipper. Now, securely locked zipper assembly, that also is one of the important parameter of zipper assembly. There must not be any fading during washing and dry cleaning. As you know that when zippers are attached to the garment, okay, and when the garment will be washed, every time you cannot take out the zipper definitely and stitch it again after the washing or dry cleaning. Is it possible, students? No, it is not possible. For all practical purposes, that's why zippers are washed along with this garment when it is in assembly conditions, and that's why it must pass the washing and dry cleaning test also. There should not be any fading of the colors. If there is a fading of the colors of the zipper, what will happen, students? It will affect the appearance of the garment. So you can imagine by seeing this how fading is important, especially for the light colors, okay, and dark colors, etc. Very important point also, one inspector must inspect when they are inspecting a particular zipper, is that pressing and ironing. Zipper assembly should not deform during pressing and ironing. That particular parameter should be judged correctly. Like here in the picture, you can see the little deformations after pressing and ironing. That should not happen. So this parameter must be checked by the inspectors. So that's all about the zippers as an accessories. Now students, we are at the last part of the particular lesson, is the buttons. What type of buttons we should use? So button also is an important accessory used in the garment. And what are the things we should see? You can see different types of buttons are there. Yes, of course, the button color is very important. It must match with the fabric color or the garment when it is there. Then whether there is a broken button or not, that also must be checked in the garment assembly. In the button, when inspection is going on, a very important part which is really useful for the metal free condition of the button, when the metallic buttons are used, okay, and when it is subjected to some checking through some metal detector. So metal free button, many of the buyers, they want the metal free buttons, okay. Students, can you imagine why metal free buttons they require? This is all again because of the health and safety issues, okay. So should not be there, any metal parts should not be there in the garment assembly, so that metal free buttons are very much in demand. That's why in the export market, because it will never pass the metallic part. If it is there, it will not pass through this metal detector, so it will catch that particular portions, it will not go through. So that's why metal free buttons are very important. What are the other importance parameters are to be really inspect during the time of inspection of accessories of button? It must be large, it must be clean, surface should be there, clean surface should be there. And of course, the location of holes are very important. Okay, where is the location, where is that hole is situated? Button line size is very important, diameter with requirements. What is the requirement and what is the line size is there in the button? That must be verified by the inspector. Then thickness is very important in the garment, okay, the button assembly when you are using, and this is getting judged by some thickness tester or vernier caliper. So there must be some uniformity in the thickness of the button what is used in the garment assembly. So that must be inspected, that's why for thickness, uniformity in the thickness. Tolerance in the shade, yes, it must be given some tolerances in the shade of different colored buttons, okay, when it is attached to the garment. It must match to the garment assembly also, what type of buttons you are using, the color of the button. And interestingly, it must withstand also the laundering, dry cleaning and pressing, because it is there in the assembly of the garment. It is stitched to the garment. It is a part and parcel of the garment. So it will be treated as a garment only when we are doing the washing. We cannot separate it out and do the laundering differently. So in that's why the condition of laundering, dry cleaning and pressing is very, very important, which is used for the fabric. So accessories, when you are doing the inspection, we must be careful. Inspector must do the quality control of such kind of things, that the button must pass laundering, dry cleaning and pressing. Specific size of the particular button is always important. What type of button is useful for what type of garment? There is a size specification, charts are there, line size and the diameter. From there we must pick the right size of the button. So students, in the particular this lesson we have seen that what are the different raw materials are there which are used in the garment, and what are the different inspections parameters are there in those kind of garment in terms of raw fabric, in terms of accessories like sewing thread, then we have seen accessories like zippers, then we have seen the buttons, and what are the different parameters important for them. So thank you very much students. We will come with the new chapter in the next lesson. Thank you very much.